You know how research feels that there is always something to do. Like the to-do list never gets smaller. It never shrinks. It always expands. Especially if you are in the late stages of your PhD, looking forward to finish those experiments, wrap up those models and data, and finally move on to the writing part, to getting this thesis written, submitted, finished, defended, and so on. The thing that is one of the most frustrating things, I would say, during the entire PhD experience is realizing that your work will never actually feel done. There will always be more things that you can investigate, more research questions that are going to pop up as you move forward in your research. There is always going to be some more work that needs to be done. So how do you find the balance between pursuing the research questions, but then feeling that things are completed at some point and not having this endless, I would say infinite to-do list that never gets quite checked and crossed, and it always feels like it expands. So the thing that worked for me during my PhD, and also it's a technique that I teach many of my clients, is establishing a way of making sure that your invisible work gets visible. This means that instead of putting things on your to-do list like in a super vague way, like, I don't know, finish the code or finish the experiment, perform the experiments, and so on. All of those things are very, very abstract, because inside the finish the code or finish the experiments are many, many little tasks that have to be taken and achieved in order to finish that bigger task. And if we fail to notice all of these smaller things that we are doing and all of these smaller tasks that we are actually completing before the big tasks feels completed and is completed, we risk this situation of doing the invisible work, doing the work that has to be done, but we do not consider it actual work because we cannot have as a reward, we cannot cross one thing off of our to-do list. So my suggestion would always be to make sure that whatever task you do, whatever it is that you're doing during your research, to make it very, very tangible and very doable, for two reasons. First of all, because it's going to bring you a lot of clarity in terms of how you move on, how you move forward with your research. And secondly, because it's going to give you this sense of achievement, which is something that I would say lacks a lot in research, because nothing ever feels done. So we have to find, like, reverse engineer the process and find a way that we make things feel done. We bring structure to the abstract and very non-tangible actions, and we provide some sense of completeness and control. Of course, you cannot control how your experiments will perform. You cannot control how your data will react to a certain analysis. You can try to predict, but you cannot actually know how it will happen. But what you can do is establish these small tasks, super tangible things that are actually in your control. And in that way, you are gaining back the control that is missing in research, because you cannot control the outcome of an experiment. You cannot control what is the data that you're going to obtain after you measure something, but you can control how you react to those things and how you actually perceive the work that you're doing. And for me and for many of my clients, this was actually a game changer when it comes to this feeling of mental exhaustion of doing the work but never actually seeing the progress. The trick is to actually change the way you measure progress and see that you are the one in charge of making sure that your progress is visible to you. And that way you are not going to lose that motivation that fast, and you're actually going to be able to cross some things off the to-do list and feel maybe not like a complete idiot. And I said it this bluntly because this is how I felt during the majority of my PhD, when I was putting in hours, when I was trying to move forward with my research and nothing ever felt done, nothing ever worked, nothing ever felt complete. So this is one strategy that I used, and I always coach it with my clients. We always do that in order to feel that sense of completeness and to not feel that nothing is ever done and completed. Having said that, if you feel that your research is a mess, if you feel that you are completely exhausted, you don't know how to put it all together, you don't know what is the next logical step in your research, your supervisor abandoned you basically, or doesn't answer emails, I want to tell you that this is exactly what I help PhD students with. We take all of that data, all of those results, all of those messy random thoughts and structure it into something that makes sense so that you can move on with your research, you can finally start writing your paper, your thesis, and then finally submit and defend. So if this sounds like you, I want to invite you to join a completely free intro coaching call with me. You can schedule it down below in the link in the description, where we can discuss your specific challenges, your specific struggles, and see if we are a good fit to work together, and of course see how we can move all of those research and work forward. So as always, see you in the next few days in another video. Bye bye.